Hello, good evening, and warm welcome to all of you. This is the sixth video of my government scheme series. In the previous video, I have discussed the important schemes related to different ministries, and you can watch those videos by using the link provided below. Now, before going into the schemes under the Ministry of Women and Child Development, what we are doing at the Thinking Palette, you must know about that. At the Thinking Palette, we as a team providing you the daily editorial analysis along with MCQ and mains answer writing practice we are also giving on this platform. And personally, I am looking into that what are the important inputs which you should put up in your mains answer writing and what are the different things which you should not use while writing answer writing. And we are also coming up with the GS Mains Test Series along with the Political Science Mentorship Program with the top scorer of the last year. And the successful students who have secured the maximum marks in the political science and the GS will also be providing the guidance at this platform of Thinking Palette. Now, coming to the different schemes of the Ministry of Women and Child Development. But before that, you should know that before this ministry came into force in 2006, earlier it was as a department under Ministry of Human Resource Development. And this ministry has six autonomous organizations. Why I am focusing on these autonomous organizations? Because UPSC is in the habit of asking such questions that what are the statutory organization, what are the autonomous organization, whether this office is an attached office or not. Therefore, we are looking into this. Now, here you can look into that National Institute of Public Corporation and Child Development and the National Commission for the Women, National Commission for the Protection of the Child Rights and Central Adoption Resource Agency, Central Social Welfare Board and Rashtriya Mahila Code. This is the most important thing. We will go into the little bit detail of the Rashtriya Mahila Code also. Basically, these are the autonomous organization. And SCARA, that is basically a statutory body. National Commission for Women is a statutory body, and this Central Social Welfare Board and Rashtriya Mahila Kosh is not a statutory body. However, these are the autonomous organizations. These are basically registered as societies under Societies Registration Act 1860. Now coming to Rashtriya Mahila Kosh. When it has been established? It has been established in 1993 as an autonomous body. Okay, it is an autonomous body and registered as a society under Societies Registration Act. This is important because UPSC may directly frame the statements out of this. Now, recently what is happening, what is the operating model of Rashtriya Mahila Kosh? Rashtriya Mahila Kosh is basically acting as a facilitating agency where they are providing loans to the NGO MFI. Basically, this is a microfinance institution and it is termed as intermediate organization. Basically, what happens that whenever you will look into the self-help groups, basically self-help groups are being promoted by this NGO MFI model, and this NGO MFI model is being provided loan through Rashtriya Mahila Kosh. Understood? Now the next thing is Rashtriya Mahila Kosh extends microcredit to the women. The same thing, because these are the microfinance institutions, therefore they are providing microcredit in order to bring the economic empowerment for the women and the women who are engaged in informal sector, how they can be made economically empowered. And in this case, Rashtriya Mahila Kosh is providing loan to them. Now, the important scheme, that is the Integrated Child Development Scheme. This scheme is too much important that it can be asked in prelims and mains also anytime, undoubtedly. Now, when it has been launched in 1975 and it is a centrally sponsored scheme where the center and the state distributes their share in the ratio of 60 to 40 except nutrition component. Whenever the term nutrition component comes, it simply means that there are several other components of ICDS. Then the question arises that what are those components? These are basically six very important components of the Integrated Child Development Scheme. That is health and nutrition education, supplementary nutrition program, preschool education, immunization, health checkup and referral services. These are basically the different components of the ICDS where the sharing between the center and state is 60:40. However, in the case of this, that is health and nutrition, then in this, this is the supplementary nutrition program. In this case, the share will be of 50:50, and in all the other, that is preschool immunization, health checkup, referral, and the health and nutrition education, the funding will be in the ratio of 90:10. Now the second question arises that who will be the beneficiaries of the integrated child development scheme. Then there are three groups. That is basically the very first group is children in the age group of 0 to 6, lactating mother, and pregnant mother. These are the three beneficiaries of the integrated child development scheme. And these services, these all the components under this scheme will be provided by Anganwadi and auxiliary midwife nurse. Okay, this is very important to remember that the services are being offered by them. Understood? Now moving to the next scheme, that is Saksham. Saksham is basically, first of all, you should know that there is a scheme called Sabla, and Sabla is for adolescent girls. Now the Saksham is on the line of Sabla, and it has been launched in 2001 for adolescent boys. Understood? This is the difference between Saksham and Sabla. Now basically they are primarily focusing on dropout students. Now what UPSC does, that they may give the statement that this Saksham scheme is for adolescent boys. You will be very happy, okay, I know this, and you will mark it correct. But for example, if they are adding to that particular statement that it is primarily focusing on the dropout students, then in examination you may get confused. So it is important to remember. That is the additional information. Now, what are the objectives of the scheme? The objectives of the scheme is to promote awareness about health, hygiene, nutrition, and adolescent reproductive and sexual health, and family and child care. These are the objectives. You don't need to remember all the objectives, just you will have to keep in mind that this is for the all-round development of the adolescent boys. Basically, there is also a focus on gender sensitization of the adolescent boys. Understood? Now the next thing is to create sensitized AHISMA messenger to address the violence against women. Whenever I was using the word gender sensitization, basically gender sensitization is one way to address the violence against women. Now moving to the next scheme, that is Pradhanmantri Mahila Shakti Kendra. It has been approved by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs for the period of 3 years, that is 2017-18 to 2019-20. This is very important to remember, that is this period that when it has been launched. Now, this is also a centrally sponsored scheme where the funding pattern is like this, that the center state, the ratio will be 60:40. When the center and union territory is involved, whether it is with legislature or without legislature, there will be 100% funding by the center. However, in the case of center and the northeastern states, the funding pattern will be in the ratio of 90:10. Now, all the payments which will be made under this scheme will be done through the PFMS under DBTS scheme. Understood? Now, it will be implemented in decentralized manner. This is very important to understand. Why it is important that in examination, whenever the statement is like that, the Pradhanmantri Mahila Shakti Kendra is being implemented at district level and the block level. You may get confused. That we have read about that the funding pattern is between center and state. Then how the district and the block level will be? Then how the district and the block level will be used as an element where the Pradhanmantri Mahila Shakti Kendra will be implemented. But this is not the case. It will be implemented at all the level: national level, state level, district level, and block level. And what are the objectives of Pradhanmantri Mahila Shakti Kendra? The objective is basically to improve the child sex ratio and the survival of the newborn girl child. Basically, you will have to remember only one thing. That is, this is Pradhanmantri Mahila Shakti Kendra. It is about the empowerment of the women. And the empowerment of the women, the very first thing which we should focus upon to improve the child sex ratio, because we all know the rising cases of infanticide and foeticide. So basically, this is the improvement in the child sex ratio. Now, the next scheme is Ujjwala scheme. You may get confused in examination with Ujjwala scheme and Pradhanmantri Ujjwala Yojana. Basically, in examination, you will have to keep things in your mind like that. There is a different Ujjwala scheme also, and this scheme has been launched in 2007. And what was the objective of this scheme? The objective of this scheme was to end the trafficking of the children and women. It is not only about the women, it is about the trafficking of children also. Understood? Now, the next important thing which you need to remember is that the scheme is not being implemented by any central government organization. Basically, what will happen under this scheme, that this will be implemented by the NGO, and the NGO who are engaged in the work of checking the rise of trafficking at the border, interstate, intrastate, intercountry, then basically that NGO will be involved under this Ujjwala scheme. Then the question arises, can any NGO be the part of the Ujjwala scheme? No. Basically, that kind of organization should have a minimum of 3 years of experience, and they should be registered under the law. Understood? Now, moving to the next scheme, very important scheme, Beti bachao, Beti padhao. We all know that the Sukanya Yojana is also the part of Beti bachao, Beti padhao. But when this scheme was launched, this scheme was launched in 2005, and this scheme will be implemented not only by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, but by the congruence of the different ministry and the different platforms available with us. Basically, here you can look into that the scheme will be implemented through ICDS platform, through MSK, DLCW at district, block and village level, in convergence with the Health and Family Welfare, Ministry of Human Resource and Development, and Panchayati Raj Ministry. These are the different ministries which will be involved, and these are the different platforms which will be involved in the implementation of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. And in this Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, we are focusing on the 3 different kinds of target groups. Basically, what should be our target group? It is not that whenever we are focusing only on the expecting mother, but also we need to focus on the different groups like frontline workers, ASA workers, media, medical associations, doctors, practitioners, everyone. We will have to make a comprehensive package to implement the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao in an effective manner. So now here, in a primary, we are focusing on young and newly married couples. Obviously, we will focus here. But in the secondary level, we will have to make our youth and adolescent aware about the rights of the women, aware about the need for the improvement in the child sex ratio, aware them about the equality between the girl child and the boy child. So basically, at the secondary level, we are focusing on adolescent and basically in-laws, basically father-in-law, mother-in-law, and medical doctors, practitioners. And at the third level, we are also focusing on different officers at the PRI level, frontline workers, women, SHG. Basically, they will help in the implementation of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao by changing the mindset, because behavioral impact or behavioral aspect is also a very important component of the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. And for that, we need basically religious leaders, voluntary organization, media, medical associations, all can be of a great help to us. Understood? Now, the next is Sukanya Yojana. It is a part of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and it has been launched in 2015. Now, one thing which you need to remember is that Sukanya Yojana, that is a deposit scheme. Now, you can go to the very first video where I have discussed that whenever there is an important scheme where the banks are involved, where the insurance company are involved, then there are some of the basic questions which you should remember, that whether the government is also giving the contribution under that scheme or not, whether there is an exit option or not. So basically, we will apply the same principle here, and we will look into that whether the Sukanya Yojana is satisfying that different criteria or not. Now, the very first thing, that this is a deposit scheme. Now, when the account can be opened? The account can be opened on the date of the birth of that child or at the age of 10 years. For example, from the date of the birth to the age of the 10 years, this account can be opened. Now, where the account can be opened? Can it be opened in regional rural bank? Can it be opened in the cooperative bank? No. It can be opened only in the post office or authorized commercial bank. Understood? Now, who will deposit money in the account? Whether the government will deposit money in the account? No. Government has a zero contribution under Sukanya Yojana. A minimum of 250 and maximum of 1.5 lakhs will be deposited by the parent and guardian also. Here again you may get confused in examination. They may give the statement that the parent and guardian both can deposit the money. Then you may get confused that why the guardian will be depositing money here, but guardian will also deposit the money. Now this is a minimum of 250. Most of the time you will find on the internet or on the other magazines that the minimum of 1000 rupees, but that is not correct. Now a minimum of 250 rupees and maximum of 1.5 lakhs can be deposited. Understood? Now this is in continuation that what are the benefits of this account? Why the parents and the guardians will deposit 1.5 lakhs per year? Basically in that case the income tax rebate will be provided by the government, and the government will provide the interest payment of 8.5%. Basically what happened that when the scheme was launched in 2015, the interest payment was 9.1%, but now the interest payment is 8.5%, 8.6%. It is basically changing with the time. Now the next question, can one withdraw the money before 21 years? Yes, 50% you can withdraw after the completion of the class 10 and 100% once completed 18 years. Why 100% once completed 18 years? Because 18 years is the legal age for the marriage of the girl child. And what is the maturity period of the account? The account will get matured in 21 years from the date of opening of the account, or marriage of the girl child after attaining 18 years of the age. This is important to remember that when the account will be matured. Understood? Now the next scheme is Pradhanmantri Bandhana Yojana. You all know that the Bandhana Yojana is a maternity benefit program, and under which there is a provision of providing cash. Understood? This is the important thing which you should keep in mind. Now after that the next question will come under the head of Pradhanmantri Bandhana Yojana. Now it is a maternity benefit program that is implemented in all the districts of the country. It is not that it is being implemented in only those districts where the child sex ratio is very less. And it is in accordance with the provision of National Food Security Act. Okay. Now what is the provision in the National Food Security Act? Basically you should be provided with the cereals. If you are not being provided with the cereals, then there will be a food allowance. Understood? Everything is in the accordance with the provision of NFSA. Understood? Now the next thing is it is a centrally sponsored scheme. Again, the centrally sponsored scheme, the funding pattern is being divided in the ratio of 60:40 when the center, state and center and union territory with legislature is involved. But when the center and the northeastern state is involved, then the funding pattern will be 90:10. And when the center and union territory without legislature will be involved, then the funding pattern will be 100%. Understood? Now, who will be the beneficiary of Pradhanmantri Bandhana Yojana? Obviously, all the pregnant and lactating mother will be. But is there any bar on the pregnant and lactating mother who are employed in the regular job of the government or PSU? Yes, there is a bar. Basically, all pregnant women and the lactating mother will be the beneficiary except those or exclude those who are in the regular employment with the government or PSU, or basically who are receiving any kind of similar benefits under any law. Understood? They will be excluded. Except these, all the pregnant and lactating mother will be the beneficiary of Pradhanmantri Bandhana Yojana. Now what are the benefits of this scheme? The benefit is that you will be provided with cash of 5,000 in 3 installment only once. Basically, for the very first child you will get cash of 5,000 rupees. Okay, it is not that you will get the benefits or you'll get the cash of 5,000 rupees on the birth of consecutive 1, 2, 3, 4th child. No, it is for only first child. And the remaining under Janani Suraksha Yojana. Basically, in Janani Suraksha Yojana, what happens that the government provides 1,400 rupees to the pregnant and lactating mother. Now under this Pradhanmantri Matru Bandhana Yojana, 5,000 rupees will be provided and the remaining 1,000 will be provided under Janani Suraksha Yojana. Understood? And thus an average of 6,000. समझ में आया ना? क्योंकि 6,000 is not being given under Pradhanmantri Matru Bandhana Yojana. 5,000 here, 1,000 from Janani Suraksha Yojana. Now in continuous, it is very important to remember. Now for example, understand the condition, because the cash giving benefit under this scheme has certain condition. For example, when you receive your first installment and after that if the beneficiary has a miscarriage, then what will happen? Then in that case, in the next or the future pregnancy, she will receive only second and the third installment. It is not that she will receive first, second and third installment again in the case of future pregnancy. No. First installment mil gaya usse, now miscarriage have happened, now she will get only second and third installment. Understood? Now the second condition. What will happen in the case of infant mortality? In case of infant mortality, she will not be eligible for claiming benefits under the scheme. Basically, in the case of infant mortality, the beneficiary cannot say that now in the next or the future pregnancy, give me again 6,000 rupees, 5,000 under Pradhanmantri Matru Bandhana Yojana and 1,000 under Janani Suraksha Yojana. Okay, if she has already received all the installment before infant mortality. Understood? This is all about this scheme. Now moving to the next and the last scheme, that is Poshan Abhiyan. Now, Poshan Abhiyan is basically announced in the budget session. This is important to remember that it has been announced in the budget session of 2017 and 18. The rest thing, I know that you all people are aware about the next are the important pointers of the Poshan Abhiyan, but here you need to focus on. Now the next thing which you need to focus upon is that it will be funded by 50% by Government of India and 50% by the World Bank or other multinational development banks. Understood? There is a combination of the Government of India and the World Bank or also other multinational development banks. Understood? Now, who will be the implementing authority of the Poshan Abhiyan? Niti Aayog is required to submit the implementation status report of Poshan Abhiyan in every 6 months to the PMO. Okay, PMO is basically overlooking at the Poshan Abhiyan directly. Now, what are the pillars of the mission? Basically, how the targets of the Poshan Abhiyan will be met. It will be met through intersectoral convergence. Now, intersectoral convergence, what is the meaning of this intersectoral convergence? Then basically here, all the important scheme and the important ministries which have a bearing on improving the Poshan indicators will or need to come together. That is Pradhanmantri Matru Bandhana Yojana, Swachh Bharat Mission, National Health Mission, PDS, Public Distribution System, Manrega and Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. This is intersectoral. Basically, all the different ministries are involved here to improve the Poshan indicators, that is stunting wasting. Okay. Now, the next thing is there will be a use of technology for real-time growth monitoring and nutrition services, and the health for the first 1,000 days will be examined intensively under the Poshan Abhiyan. And the next, it will be like a Jan Andolan. Now, what I think that this is important to remember here, and Jan Andolan is important to remember along with these two different pointers. Understood? This is all about the important scheme which has been in the news in Hindu in the last 1 year. Now, this is the end of our government scheme series. Now we are coming with a very exciting series. Now wait for that series. Understood? Thank you.